We trust experts with our money, and we trust experts with our body. Even things in our everyday life, like our house's design or our kids' education. In some cases, even finding our spouse. We leave all kinds of things to experts. But what about our minds? The story begins in a counseling session, where a fiery woman confronts her counselor, challenging the essence of his work. "What you're doing isn't counseling," she accuses, her voice echoing with passion. "A person's mind and emotions are precious. Don't you need empathy to truly counsel someone?" she demands. The counselor, unfazed, responds with a calm certainty. "Indeed, such counseling exists," he acknowledges, "but that's not my approach. I operate differently. I may not comprehend emotions, but I can still offer solutions to your struggles. After all, at our core, aren't we all fundamentally the same?" In 1952, the renowned American psychologist Gordon Exner embarked on his seminal dissertation with a bold declaration. If there are 6 billion people on this planet, there must be 6 billion distinct minds, personalities, and dispositions, as each individual's psychological state, disposition, and personality is unique. People, he asserted, are unequivocally unique. Yet, in his final essay penned before his passing, Exner revised his stance, concluding with a profound insight. In truth, those are merely 6 billion diverse manifestations of a singular essence. People, at their core, are fundamentally the same. Through their subconscious, people's minds always reveal themselves externally. Most people just don't know how to read behavior. The door of the bar opens, and the bartenders welcome a man and a woman. The bartenders greet the man and say, it's been a while since they've seen him. As they take their seats on their stools, our protagonist can't help but make observations on the woman's actions. After ordering their drinks, the man pulls out a ring that he had for the woman. She's overtaken by how expensive it looks. The woman responds by saying she wishes she could make it up to the man somehow, but the man tells her not to worry because they'll have the rest of their lives to treat each other well. Our protagonist makes more observations. The man orders more drinks, and the woman strikes up some small talk by mentioning the pattern on the wallpaper behind the bar. She says it looks like a mask. They both chuckle, but our protagonist notices the position of the woman's legs. They're facing the entrance. Shortly after, the woman tells the man she has to go make a quick phone call. As she walks away, the other bartenders compliment the man on his girlfriend. The man gloats that, after dozens of blind dates, he has finally found the one for him. The man even goes as far as calling her his dream girl, and that's where our protagonist has heard enough. He breaks the bad news to the man and tells him that she doesn't look like she feels the same way. He tells the man that she just lied to him. He doesn't even think she's coming back. Before the man could finish asking why he thinks that, he receives a text. The woman texted him, saying that something just came up and she's gotta go. The man looks at our protagonist and asks how he knew. Our protagonist says that she's been telling him a lot of things ever since they both came in. The man asks what he means. Our protagonist tells the man that the bar is called Mirror. Obviously, everyone knows what that word means. People have a tendency of unconsciously revealing their hidden thoughts as if reflected in a mirror. It's impossible to stop. And he admits that he can see all of those things they try to hide. He says the bar's temperature is set at 24 degrees, and they always keep it there. Why do you think people cross their arms or legs if it's not even cold? Because it's comfortable? He asks. He proceeds to say, men and women have what we call open and closed positions. When people argue or don't want to hear something, they usually cross their arms or legs. It's a way of psychologically protecting themselves. It's typically a way of indicating my mind isn't open to you. And another thing, he says, take purses, for instance. In relationships, a woman's purse is like her heart to a certain extent. When women meet someone for the first time, they put their purse far away from the other person. But as they get to know them over time, they start putting it between themselves and the other person. If they've been dating for a long time, they may even allow the man to touch their purse. But seeing how far away she put her purse from you, even though you've been dating for 2 months, indicates that the two of you aren't close. The man cries, "So what? You don't know us just from looking at something like that." Our protagonist responds and says, "Of course not. I can't see what people are thinking. After all, I can only guess that you two may have had a fight today, or maybe she just needs more time to get closer to you. However," he says, "as you showed her your gift, I saw very interesting things." The man wants to know more and asks how he could tell from the moment he gave her the ring. Our protagonist says that it's like the man said, he can't tell what one person's thinking just from that. It's just speculation. He says he'd need a few more pieces of information to make a prediction rather than just speculation, like, for instance, things that suggest she's lying. Meanwhile, we see a man arrive outside the bar. He asks himself, "Is this the place?" But back inside, our protagonist asks the man, "Do you know how I can usually tell when people are lying?" Shoulders and neck, sweat, and other kinds of behavior. When people lie, they show it in all kinds of ways, but the most common and easy thing to spot is first and foremost, their mouth. Unless someone's a trained con man, they'll feel guilty when they lie so subconsciously they want to cover their mouth, so they almost always touch somewhere near their mouth. This is a projection of their subconscious desire to cover their mouth when they lie. They may touch their nose or chin or their lips when the woman said, "I wish I could make it up to you somehow." She actually had no intention of doing so. For the same reason, when people hear something they don't want to have a subconscious desire to cover their ears, so they'll touch somewhere around their ears. They may scratch around their ears or touch their earlobes unconsciously and unconsciously indicating that they don't want to hear this. When she saw the gift, her pupils enlarged, showing genuine delight. But when you said we have the rest of our lives, she indicated, "I don't want to hear that." "What do you think this means?" He asks. When someone smiles, it's their ease that tell you if their smile is fake or not. The ease have to smile for it to be real. If her eyes show no expression and only her mouth is smiling, it means she's faking it. When you said, "We have the rest of our lives," to treat each other well, your lady friend indicated that she didn't want to listen by showing a fake smile. In other words, "I'm closing my mind off to you. I don't want a serious long-term relationship." These kinds of people are often always getting ready to end a relationship while they're still in it. "Enough." The man yells, "What do you know? You just saw us today and started talking like you know everything. Who believes all that psycho bull crap anyway?" The protagonist then brings up the pattern on the wallpaper. It was first designed in 1921 by the Swiss psychologist Hermann Rorschach, and it's still widely used today in psychological examinations. It's the first print from the Rorschach inkblot test. By asking what they see when they look at the abstract symmetrical drawing, one can tell a lot about what's going on in their subconscious. Of course, everyone gives very different answers, but answers reveal at least an aspect of their subconscious mind. The mask symbolizes concealing the truth. People who see this as a mask are really saying that they are wearing a mask themselves at this very moment. Have you ever been in a place you didn't want to be? Somewhere where you felt uncomfortable and wanted to leave? When people want to be somewhere else, the lower half of their body faces the direction of where they want to go. In her case, it was the exit. After the man leaves, the other bartenders are impressed and ask, if that was some kind of mind reading. The protagonist says, "I'll just say it's a combination of observation and logic." They ask if he can use his powers on them too, but the protagonist says that he can't always read what people are thinking. People just tend to be more open in bars. One of the bartenders tells the protagonist that he's not cut out for the service industry. He only kept him around because he thought women would enjoy a good-looking guy in the bar. His mind-reading skills are a bonus. Both bartenders joke that they don't even know what his real name is, so they decide to call him Professor Frost. The door opens again, and before they can tell the customer they're closed, Professor Frost recognizes who it is. "Long time no see," says the man. Some time passed, and we found ourselves at Yonggang University. Inside the consultation room, a young student named Yoon is seen evaluating some paperwork. Yoon isn't surprised by the sight of a student with depression. Job hunting season often leads to such struggles. However, she is taken aback by someone coming in for sexual assault, unaware that they handled such cases. One thing she can't get over is how few students they've seen this year. After reviewing the documents, she meets with Professor Oh, who admits he'd rather be back in his lab writing dissertations with the low number of students they see. Yoon snaps him out of that mindset, emphasizing that every client should be considered a precious individual. She tells him that he knows how to help them solve the problems deep in their hearts, the noble duty of a true psychological counselor. Professor Oh then reminds her that she's supposed to be in class. Yeon freaks out for a second as she remembers her class is on the other side of campus and heads out. As she heads for Professor Chun's class, she hopes there'll still be some seats left. His classes usually fill up quickly. When she arrives, she's annoyed to see so many non-psych majors in the class. Non-psych majors annoy her because when people find out she's a psych major, the first thing they ask is if she can tell them what they're thinking at that moment, or if she can hypnotize them, or if she could explain their dreams. Being a psych student doesn't make her some kind of storyteller. She can't just read someone's mind like it's some kind of instruction manual. The reason she decided to major in psychology is because she wanted to understand the human mind. She wants to one day become a great professor like Professor Chun, the head of liberal arts, who has international notoriety. With extensive research and experience, he never gives up on any of his patients and always finds a way to help them with psychological counseling. Professor Chun notices Yoon mumbling to herself and asks if her internship at the campus counseling center is going well. She says it is, and Professor Chun reminds her that no matter how great a psychologist is, no one can read another person's mind, and he wants her to keep her thoughts to herself. She wants to be just like him. Back in the consultation room, Yoon realizes it'll be hard to be a great professor with no students. She believes many students on campus could use some help. The door then creaks open, and she is glad to finally see someone. She blushes as a young man with white hair walks through the door. She doesn't know who he is yet, but it's Dr. Frost, and he asks for Professor O. Thanks for watching Part 1. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see Part 2.